A new vehicle market as competitive as the South African one is influenced by a whole bunch of trends. Among those, probably the most powerful are the growing popularity of SUV and crossover vehicles, and of course the demand for smaller and more efficient cars. Now, the new Audi Q3 addresses both those trends, but the question is whether it's still affordable enough and whether it expresses enough value.
The Q3 is the baby brother of the mid-sized Q5 and the juggernaut Q7. In that sense, one would have expected a compact and nimble Q car with a greater emphasis on crossover versatility than on all-terrain capability. But as it turns out, the Q3 looks very much like a scaled-down Q5. It has the raised stance and the robust presence of a gung-ho SUV.
Audi points to the steeply raked windscreen and the rounded rear as proof that the Q3 is sportier and wieldier than its larger Q car siblings. And yes, it is a lot more compact than the Q5 or the Q7, but it's by no means a small vehicle. It measures 4.4 meters long, 1.83 meters wide, and 1.61 meters high, which means it has a resolute and robust presence.
In pure aesthetic terms, there aren't too many surprises. The front is dominated by Audi's trademark single-frame grille, while the headlights incorporate LED-powered strips for daytime running lights. The effect is certainly striking, but also instantly familiar. The side view shows off a profile that flows smoothly from front to rear, with a raked windscreen and that curved rear suggesting a more dynamic, almost coupe-like personality. Big wheels, a tall stance and a wide-opening tailgate confirm the Q3's SUV credentials. But for all its apparent bulk, the newcomer's curb mass is trimmer than you think. Depending on model, the Q3 weighs little more than 1,500 kgs, thanks to the strategic use of aluminium and high-tensile but lightweight steel.
The result is that even apparently modest drivetrains provide plenty of get up and go. Now, our test car is powered by a 2-litre 4-cylinder turbocharged engine, credited with 125 kilowatt of maximum power and 280 newton meters of torque. The 7-speed S-tronic gearbox is an added cost option, but Quattro 4-wheel drive is standard.
The combination of relatively low mass, a willing engine and the S-tronic transmission's rapid-fire gear shifts creates a much sportier package than expected. The 4-cylinder quickly comes on song with little lag to speak of. Add a steering system that feels crisp and nicely weighted, a suspension more concerned with response and control than with comfort, and a set of well-judged ratios, and the result is an involving drive and a thrilling one.
The Audi Q3 might be quite at home on gravel, but it's no slouch on the black top either. The 0 to 100 time acclaimed 8.2 seconds, top speed 212 kilometers an hour. Fuel consumption in the low 6 liters per 100 kilometer range on the open road, rising to about 9.5 liters in urban environments according to Audi. But in reality, our test consumption came to just under 12 liters per 100 kilometers.
Of course, the problem is that the Q3 always feels nimble and athletic. It enjoys being thrashed around regardless of the terrain, and that isn't exactly conducive to a thrifty appetite for premium unleaded. Talking of terrain, the Q3 is tall enough to clear fair-sized obstacles when venturing off the beaten track, while Quattro virtually guarantees traction on compromised surfaces. However, because the standard tyres are on-road biased, don't expect the Q3 to cope too well with mud or deep sand. In fact, it's fair to say that the Q3's natural habitat is very much on par. It always feels cohesive and convincing thanks to its robust construction and tactile quality levels. While the taut suspension contributes to an overriding sense of control, the downside is a ride that might be considered too uncompromising for some, especially on our often crumbling road surfaces.
Even so, the cabin ends up being a comfortable place. This might be the smallest member of the Q car family, but there is plenty of space front and rear. The fit and finish, of course, to Audi's usual high standards, and that also goes for the ergonomics. I particularly liked the elevated driving position.
The interior's appeal extends to space and practicality. The rear accommodation is more than sufficient for 2 or even 3 occupants, while the bench seat is split 60-40 and can be folded forward in part or completely to create a versatile mix of cargo space and seating. Audi claims a luggage compartment capacity of 460 litres, rising to 1,365 litres with the rear seats folded flat. Standard equipment is adequate if not full house. Remote central locking, decent sound and electric windows are standard, but electric seats, cruise control and xenon headlights cost extra. Most buyers will end up spending at least 30,000 Rand more on optional extras.
Which brings us to the small matter of price. Now, as tested here, the Q3 costs 421,500 Rand, but by the time you've added a couple of must-have extras, that price will have jumped to 450,000 Rand or more, which I suppose is fairly competitive in the context of the premium compact SUV segment, but is hardly cheap. Audi, of course, will tell you that you get what you pay for.
That aside, the Q3 ticks all the right boxes. It will suit many would-be buyers better than some of the 4x4 barges on offer, and it's good enough to tackle mild off-road terrain. Add its comfort, quality and dynamic talents, and that 8-month waiting list for a Q3 becomes easier to understand. A willing engine, Quattro drivetrain and S-tronic gearbox provide the underpinnings for this sporty compact SUV. Versatility and prestige are further attractions. The result is a swift, spacious and comfortable vehicle with broad appeal, but the ride could be smoother, and the 8-month waiting list requires a lot of patience.